Working. I'm sorry I was a little bit late. Unforeseen things happened. I was working out, having breakfast, feeding dogs, just managing daily life. I'm glad you're here. I've got an exciting chat for you. By the way, today I'm releasing a new shirt, the Loyal, Sincere, Kind, Shimmer Glimmer Man shirt. Jimmy, it's the first shirt we've done of Jimmy. So I hope you guys will like it. A lot of people have asked for a Labrador shirt, and this is more than anything, a true Labrador shirt. And I hope you guys like it. What a camera, Alan, huh? What a camera. I recently, I changed cameras. I've got two cameras, two brand new cameras. There was an issue with one of the cameras being a little bit out of sync, but anyway, it's all good now. And this, yeah, so by the way, there's a link down below for getting these shirts. So today and tomorrow, all shirts, not just this one, 15% off. So that's a deal. That means anything you get out of Spread Shop is 15% off. Go get yourself a shirt. All right, everybody's here. Donald, Sarah, Natalie, Laura from Mexico. Okay, very cool. Remember the rules here, real simple. Put a question mark before your question, so I know it's a question. Make sure you keep an eye on it. I don't like the questions getting repeated because it kind of sets it off for everybody else. I try to keep the situation fair for everyone, right? I want everyone to be able to have a good time, get your questions answered. If you haven't done so, if you're not a member of robertcabral.com, my online member section, please run over there. Super great stuff, great lessons. And I can tell you now that the series of lessons with Max, the Akita, and Ziggy, the Belgian Malinois, who are both really young puppies. I met them at about, I don't know, maybe 3 months old. They belong to two friends of mine. They will be a series now on YouTube here as well as on my member section. So the member section always has the full video. Usually, I would say consistently twice as long as the YouTube videos. The member section videos are always about twice as long. So you get a lot more bang for your buck. You're getting a lot more information. If you want the more detailed information, if you want the free stuff, hey, no problem. Excuse me, a lot of free stuff here on YouTube. It will always grow. I will always have free content on YouTube because I do think at the core of my mission is helping people with their dogs. I want people to really understand their dogs, love their dogs, be able to communicate better with their dogs, and form a healthy bond. And it's hard to do when you're confused. There's a lot of confusing information out there. Do me a favor, share the word about this channel. Tell people to come to this channel, to use these videos because they're proven, they're solid information. There's no, clickbait, no glitzy stuff, nothing fancy. In fact, Alan always gets on me because my thumbnails aren't clickbaity enough. So I'm really just trying to, and this is something at the core of what Janet and I really believe is give good information. Oh, that was Janet right there. That was Janet's beautiful, the back of Janet there. I want to give you good information. I don't want to spend a lot of resources, whether it's time or money, on making the channel glitzy. It's about information. It's about good, solid information that works, that has worked in the thousands of dogs I've worked with in shelters. And I don't think anybody can prove that better than me. For 12 years with some of the most dangerous and difficult dogs in the world. So. Yeah, Sarah, you got to see Janet, although a small bit of her. I have now convinced her, because I've got another really nice camera over here, that she just might end up in a chat with us one day. Anyway, all right, so let's look at these questions. A lot of questions coming through. Donald, I can't make anybody a moderator unless they're in my channel. So I'm sorry, I appreciate all you do. But I can't make people moderators unless they're within the channel. It's a weird thing to explain. But anyway, Sarah's got a question here, and I'm going to put it on the screen like I usually do. Wow, those questions are big on the screen, but you know what? Maybe that's good. Maybe it's better you can see them bigger like that, right? Okay, her question is, I'm going to start working with a friend's large Border Collie cross. He's pretty wild and unmanageable. Do you have any advice on starting to work with this guy and teach him ways to channel his drive? Well, that's a very good question, Sarah. What you're going to want to do is you want to build a bond with the dog. You want to build a relationship, and you want to show that there's a fair give and take to anything you do with the dog. So One really easy way I like to do that in the beginning with a dog is by hand feeding. Once the dog sees you have something, as long as the dog doesn't have any food aggression, it's a really fair way to start with them, to give them, you can give them some treats, some kibbles, some tidbits, and expect a behavior. Then you can ask for more behavior and give them more. But that'll start to build a bond and kind of channel the drive. Food will keep the drive generally pretty low as opposed to toys, which will kind of keep it a little bit higher. So that would be my advice to you. Cretu David, I'm sorry I passed over that. It says, I have a rescue Malinois. He recently started barking at cars. I say a loud no and a pop on the prong collar. He doesn't stop and goes even crazier. It's like a negative reinforcement. I am crying. Well, don't cry, David. Malinois are a high drive dog, and I was facing this with Joey with his Akita puppy the other day, and that'll be a video that I'll be putting up. It's probably going to be a while out, but it will kind of show that the reason the dog is barking at and lunging at the cars is because it's movement, and this is what triggers prey drive dogs, is movement. What you're going to want to do is keep the dog removed a little bit from the cars, go back a few feet, and you move, right? So you make your movement more interesting than the car's movement, and that'll generally start to adjust the dog. But you've got to remove the dog. You've got to get the dog a little bit away from those cars, from that stimulus. You got to pull the stimulus back a little bit. If not, you've got to really crush the dog, and crushing that prey drive through averse corrections is just never going to be a good idea. Let's see. Okay, Desi Bishakova, I hope I said that right. How to make a puppy understand not to bite on everything. If I could tell you that answer, if I could solve that problem, I would be a billionaire. Because puppies bite. This is just what puppies do. Puppies bite. They chew. It's just like babies grab stuff and babies cry. If you got a puppy, you must understand that your puppy is going to do that. Don't ask how to get him to stop doing it. It's going to go away in time. I promise you that. But you cannot, there's no aversive. You can't shake the dog and pin the dog down and shove your hand in the dog's mouth. It's just not what you want to do. You don't want to make it that aversive. Just put the dog in a crate, give the dog a little time out, give the dog something else to chew on, give the dog something to satiate his chewing desires, and that's going to be about it. Calvin, cheers, 18-month German Shepherd, Zen paws to greet and to get attention. What is the best way to stop this? I have no idea what that means. You know what I mean? Zen paws? I don't know. I got to go over these things when this happens. 8-month-old border collie to Latassa. Very fearful of everything, growl, bark at people, scared of large metal water bowl. How can I help her? More than likely, this is a genetic issue, right? Some dogs, I'm not saying, I don't want to get into aspersions, but some dogs that aren't well bred have nerve issues, and this might be that dog. So what you're going to want to do is build this dog's confidence, get the dog in a very neutral environment, and give the dog something to do, something fun to do, like teach the dog a little trick, like a shake paw, roll over, beg, sit pretty or whatever, and then start to work that in. When the dog has something that it can do as opposed to something it shouldn't do, it'll generally start to build more confidence. Games like agility are a great thing for dogs, especially a border collie is fearful because it's just fun. What crushes the dog's spirit a lot of times is this, like, don't do that, don't do this, and putting corrections on the dog being fearful, because you're just crushing that. It brings tears to my eyes because it's really hard on these dogs emotionally when you do stuff like that. So give the dog something to do. Take the dog go to a Zoom room and just let the dog run and jump over stuff and climb in stuff and let the dog be a dog. And I think that's going to be your best advice. Janet actually nodded on that when she went. And when Janet nods, I'm happy. Who was Cisco? Oh, so yeah, so Janet said there's a dog that was in one of her classes that would go for his water bowl. I don't know why they do that, but sometimes metal bowls, they see themselves in it, something weird. But Steven says, how can we make people change their mind about buying the Bully XL in the UK where nobody has the tools to work with this dog and make the dog bomb-proof? I could get into a long thing about breeds that people shouldn't be buying for the wrong reasons, and it has nothing to do with the actual dog or the breed. It has to do with the people who are buying that breed. You know, it's like I think it's just stupid. People buy these dogs that are, and it could be one of those people, one of those dogs I would put in that would be a Belgian Malinois, right? A Belgian Malinois. A lot of the bullies, the pit bulls, a lot of the Corso mixes, a lot of the little bullies, because most people aren't capable of dealing with that dog. It has nothing to do with the dog, but it's the same reason why I detest seeing people driving, you know, like a McLaren down PCH, and then they open it up and do 100 because that's what the car is meant to do, and they're putting everybody's life in danger because they're morons. So a lot of people who get dogs like this are the same kind of morons. You know, this is not really a good dog for a general person to have. And a lot of people who get them are, you know, have a thug mentality. And a lot of people who get Malinois are insecure, you know, men and women, who get these dogs and try to show off with them. It's just not right. I mean, these dogs need a job to do. So I guess, I don't know the answer. I'm just venting. Okay, Cass, I see some questions there, but they don't have a question mark in front. I can't answer them. Please put a question mark in front so I can get to them. And by the way, if you can, there's 126 people in here, 32 thumbs up. If you haven't yet done so, please, right now, go and subscribe to this channel. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of all these chats. Whenever I do them, you'll know a day ahead of time to be here. It's worth it. And there's great videos, and it helps this channel grow. I really need to grow this channel. My goal is 1 million subscribers. So if you do it now, it could be 999,000, right? And 99. 999,000 and 99. I don't know. Not math. 99999. It's just all nines till before 1 million. Cass says, what is your opinion on gentle leaders, head halters? I don't like them. Anybody who knows me knows I don't like them. I think it's very unnatural. I just don't like them. Do I like them? No, I hate them. I've never liked them. I don't believe in using anything that puts pressure on the front of the dog's face, because horses and dogs are very different. People always say, oh, it's like a horse. It's not like a horse at all. You steer a horse from the back, and a horse has a big, strong neck, and you're not yanking him from the side. Although some people do, you know, when they're breaking the horse. But for the dog, this is not a natural thing. It's not natural at all. So please, if you want to listen to me, I don't do it. Diego, my 7-month-old lab keeps obsessing with my 2-year-old German Shepherd. When the German Shepherd tries to play with other dogs, barks at him, pulls on his harness, etc. Well, he's playing. He's being a puppy. He's probably a little jealous that the dog's playing with other dogs. He probably wants all that attention for himself. Do me a favor, though. Don't have a harness on the dog when they're playing with other dogs, because you can get another dog's jaw can get caught up in it. If you're going to let dogs play, just take collars and leashes and harnesses off the dog. But he's just being playful. Just give him some structure, but don't let your dogs play with so many other dogs. I always go through, this is always my rhetorical conversation. Don't let your dog be too doggy. The reason you bought a dog is because you want the dog to be your companion, right? It's not like a goldfish where you buy a couple extra goldfish so they can keep each other company, or cats, you know, or gerbils, or whatever you get. A dog is really meant to be your companion, your friend, your best friend. So use them for that. Fishing with Mike. Now, Mikey, actually, you put enough question marks in there for me to see you. And therefore, your question is going to get answered. How many cups of food should I be feeding my 5-month-old Shepherd? 3 cups a day or 4 cups a day? I don't free feed. Thanks. I joined your page. Well, thank you for joining my page. That's excellent. And you will get a lot of information there. I'll tell you what I do with puppies is I follow the guidelines on the back of the bag, and then I adjust it. So watch your dog's weight. Now, puppies, especially German Shepherd puppies, will grow very, very quickly and will almost require more food than an adult dog. It seems weird, right? Like babies don't eat more than us. But puppies do eat a lot of food. So what I would suggest you do is find the recommendation on the back of the bag. All bags have, you know, basically if you go into a really scientific formula, there's a kilogram per body weight. And then for puppies, it's usually 1.5% more, because you want to get some extra calories and fats and nutrients. But then adjust it. Keep an eye on the weight of your puppy and watch them. Puppies should not be overweight by any means. People always say, oh, let the puppy get heavy. Don't let the puppy get heavy because it's bad on their joints. But you're going to want to adjust it. Okay, I'm going to answer this just because you're from Singapore and maybe you don't understand that you should put question marks in, but you have to. In Singapore and everywhere else in the world, we need question marks. Hello from Singapore, Glendon Tan. I have a question about my 5-year-old golden retriever that does not like to bite anything, which makes it hard for her to play or train. How do I motivate her biting on toys? So that would go in the category of our Shimmer Glimmer man, who doesn't like to bite on anything either. And labs generally aren't a really good lab, like a good gun dog, is not going to play tug as well as a shepherd, because shepherds are meant to bite and hold on to stuff, even if it's just like nipping at the heels of a duck, or not a duck, but a sheep. But a lab should have a soft mouth. So it's counterintuitive for them to bite and grab onto stuff. So I would suggest a different toy. Get a ball and don't engage the dog the same way you would a shepherd. That's it. Just I would change my style of play. And by the way, if you've asked a question, if I see your name, I probably won't be able to take 2 questions. I think it's going to just get too busy. But stay tuned. Maybe I will. I'll go back and forth. John Mallon, local lessons. The only lessons I do, I wish you guys understood what my schedule is like on a daily basis. It's insane. And Janet's nodding her head. I literally work 10 hours a day. Before Janet and I lived together, she's like, well, what do you do all day? And now she's like, my God, you don't stop. Between, the YouTube channel, the member section, answering questions, doing sessions, editing videos, posting things, checking in on social media, and that. And I, as you all know, I hate social media. The only lessons I take on very rare occasions are lessons that I can post here in the there in the member section for people to see. So, but I can refer you. If you're a member, send me an email and I will do that. Thank you, Follow the Leader. This is not a question, but I'm going to put that up there. We're so blessed to have you as a trainer as well. I appreciate that very much. I think there's a lot of good trainers. I just try to give you good information at a good price, especially free. And again, if you want more information, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. M. Miller says, my Cane Corso was pepper sprayed through my fence. Now, anytime he hears a compressed air sound, such as wasp spray, he freaks out. How can I help him with this, Mark? That's very sad that somebody did this, and whoever did that should be punished severely. That's terrible, terrible to do. But there are crazy people in the world, right? There's stupid, mean people in the world, and obviously this person did it to your dog, which is obscene. The dog is going to get through it, right? Don't make a big deal out of it. Just let the dog hear it. Again, one of the things I would do, being OCD about it, is I would probably get a sound and I'd record it a bunch and I'd play it at a low volume when the dog is eating. Maya's whistling, which I can't stand. I would let the dog hear it and make nothing of it. That's really, really important. Okay. Okay, Donald, you're asking me, when am I going to start Bound Angels? Would you consider giving live at rescue center animal shelters? I'll tell you what, all the videos that I shot over 10 years at Bound Angels are on my computer. And this is one of the things, one of the challenges that I'm facing right now is to get all those videos edited. I'm at about 90, I think I told you the other day, right? About 90 videos. There'll be 100 plus, maybe 150 videos in the lessons there. It's going to be a little bit more expensive. It's going to be a course that I'm going to sell from all the work I did. I don't know if I'll ever, maybe, what I told Janet is I've got this 2-year plan for retirement. And at that point, what I would do is do 2 seminars a year. I would do one for rescue type, organizations and one for general people. And then those would be the updates on YouTube in the member section. And something I'm really looking forward to doing right now. I'm working hard on editing through the Ziggy and Max videos. I brought a really good person on, Ezekiel, I call him EZ. He is a good video shooter, cinematographer, and editor. So you'll see some of the videos will have a different look, a nicer look, because it's not just me with my tripod. So that's all coming up. But I would say by next year, Donald, we'll have those. Okay, Mikey, I'm going to answer the second question for you just because you have so many question marks. A good crate for a German Shepherd, go to my webpage and go to the shop page, and you'll see the crates that I recommend. The Gambit Combat Podcast. I like that name. I really like that name. Got my first German Shepherd at the same time as getting into PSA. Is it possible to be competitive in the sport while still having my GSD as a pet? Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, PSA is a very good sport. It entails a lot of control on the dog, but absolutely. Yeah, if it's a genetically a good dog, then you can for sure do that. Oh, Janet's handing me a question here. Doesn't have a question mark, but Janet sifted out a good question for you guys. It says, to Goddess, I'm going to take this off the screen because this is not Goddess. Is it wise to go to dog training where there are other dogs when my dog is reactive and easily overstimulated? Well, that's a great question. I think it's imperative that you do, but you need to have somebody there. I just referred somebody to the West LA Obedience Club, and I'm actually going to end up doing privates with this person just to kind of get them over. But you have to find an obedience club or a class that understands how to deal with that temperament, right? Sorry. So you need to get the dog. Like what I did with Maya was reactive to other dogs. I would just take her to dog shows, and she got firm corrections and abundant praise. But now, I mean, Maya can go to any dog show and lie down and be in front of any dog. As long as the dog doesn't get in her face and growl at her or whatever, which no dog should, she can be around any dog, especially just me and Maya. Maya and Goofy, then they start to play a little too much. But yes, absolutely. The question is yes, and that's a great question. Okay, Tico, sorry. My dog likes to hump other boy dogs. Is that okay? No. How would you like somebody humping you? Right? You wouldn't like it. No, the answer is no. I would say absolutely not. Okay, Calvin, now you're answering. I remember you asked me a question, but now you're just giving me half the question. You've got to put everything in the whole question with a question mark, and I promise I'll get to it, Calvin. I'll look for it. Sorry, I don't mean to be a jerk here, although sometimes I appear to be. I'm really just, right? I mean, I come across a little hard sometimes. I'm looking this way because Janet's sitting right there. I'm not trying to be harsh, but I get so many questions here. There's 100+ questions I'm scrolling through. And if they're half written, it's very hard. So when you write them, write it very carefully, and I'll probably get to it. I go down the list, and you'll see where I am now. I'm at Kenneth, which is about halfway down the list. So if you're posting, and I'm halfway to getting to you, and I got a half hour left. We might even make it. How can I teach confidence so my Malinois stops being aggressive to dogs and human? She's 8 months old. Well, first of all, you have to determine if the dog is being aggressive, right? If the dog is insecure, then the dog is being more reactive and protective than aggressive. Aggressive is what I would consider a more dominant side to that behavior. And people say, there's all, I mean, look, everybody's a dog trainer. A dominantly aggressive dog is something that doesn't need to be taught confidence, needs to be brought down a couple notches, and needs to understand that you're in control and they're not. A fearfully reactive dog is a dog that needs to be taught confidence. But you always, I've said this a million times, the way you teach confidence is to teach a dog something to do as opposed to something not to do. So the dog is doing something, and I tell the dog down or sit pretty, excuse me, or anything like that. Those are behaviors I'm asking the dog to do so that the dog doesn't do what I don't want them to do. Teach the dog something to do, basic obedience. Morgan, any tips on keeping my German Shepherd Malinois dogs focused on me while training? Be more interesting, be more fun, be more exciting, be more stimulating to the dog. And what I would probably do is try to ignore the dog before training. So if you have the dog out and you're playing with him, or you're petting him, or you're sitting with him watching TV, and then you expect the dog to pay attention to you when you're outside training, it's probably not going to happen. You need to make your interactive time with the dog very valuable. And the way you do that is isolate the dog a little bit before training, put him in a crate, drive to the park, and when you take him out, boom, you're on, right? And keep the training session short, because if you make it too long, it gets boring and the dog's going to fade out of you. Those are just simple tips. Desi, what is a reasonable time to let a puppy in a crate? 2 hours max? It's going to depend on the age of the dog, but no, I mean, a dog can be in the crate, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, but you need to condition the dog to being in there. Like, sometimes, if you have a dog in the crate overnight, the dog could be in there for 8, 9 hours. It's not going to hurt the dog, but the dog needs to have a lot of stimulation. I don't want people that, I say a dog can be in the crate 20 hours, but the point is the dog needs stimulation, because if the dog was going to be at a vet, hypothetically, the dog would be in the crate for 23.5 hours with, like 3 10-minute breaks to go potty. But your dog needs stimulation. It needs to engage. It needs to interact with you. It needs to train. It needs to learn. It needs to exercise. So a few hours in the crate is not a big deal. Okay, American Celtic Gypsy. I have an 8-month-old Dutch Shepherd and Siberian Husky mix. Very smart. When should I start guard work? As we live a nomadic life, and she's a barker. Or she isn't a barker, but I need her help to protect our home and warn me, or warn of bad. Um, Being a husky, it's not really the best breed for that. And again, I tend to be a little too honest here sometimes. But I wouldn't trust a husky with biting, but I would trust a husky with alerting, because they're family-oriented dogs generally. So I would allow the dog to alert, to indicate things, but it's not a breed for guard work. I just wouldn't trust the overall temperament of the dog for that. Got another one? No question marks, but you know what? You guys are lucky you got Janet here. Assam? My 2.5-year-old German Shepherd is fixating on dogs and reacts, but when I correct him, he's fine, walks, but still reacts. I get him in a down or sit position, or sometimes walk away. I don't understand the question. Well, what I would do is I would I would certainly spend more time moving the dog than correcting the dog, right? The more you move the dog, the more you dissipate the stress. And if he's immediately responding positively to your correction, then do something. Get him moving, get him engaging to you, get him away, bring them together. Make sure the dog understands the interaction that you want him to have, and make that really, really positive. Bill Blackburn. Hey, Robert, when would you start transitioning a puppy into the house more? My 11-month-old Doberman acts very hyper in the house and can't settle down. Will this get better with more exposure? Yeah, for sure, but you should have the puppy in the house at an early age. You want to start doing that at 8 to 10 weeks. I'm not a big fan of keeping dogs outside and kenneling dogs. That's my thing. I know a lot of people do it, and it's fine. I mean, it's your dog. You do what you want. I'm a fan for having that puppy in my house from 8 weeks on, from the day it comes. It's in my arms. I'm loving it on that dog. I'm a big sap, right? I'm a big sap. I'll leave it at that. When it comes to dogs, I just love them. They have to be in bed with me. They have to do that. So you better start getting the dog used to being in the house now, because it's going to be hard, And the fact the dog won't settle down, put the dog in a crate in the house and teach him to settle down. Because if you don't get the dog in the house soon, you're hardwiring kennel-type behaviors where the dog doesn't know how to settle down, and that's just not going to be fun at all. By the way, I'm going to take this off here for a second. Janet's making me show this again. This is our Jimmy shirt. Loyal, sincere, and kind. This is a Labrador. And there's somebody out there, wasn't it Dr. something or another? Dr. Glow said she was going to buy 10 of these. So here they are. And they're 15% off. The link's down below. Rachel Carr says, also a prey drive issue. My German Shepherd is 14 months old, and we have 5 cats. One of them rubs on him, but he still chases the other 4. Is it a good idea to use a flirt pole to tire out his prey drive? Whatever you do, if you don't listen to anything else anybody ever tells you in your life, don't use a flirt pole with a German Shepherd trying to get him to not focus on cats. That would be a disaster for you. You need to get the dog used to the cats. And you need to make sure, as Jackson Galaxy used to say, I watched the show a couple times, that you have to have places in your house for those cats to get away, like shelves up high and stuff like that. And you need to make sure your dog doesn't have an insane degree of prey drive. If not, it's going to end ugly. It's a really hard one. Really hard one. Alex. 1-year-old Mal adopted this Monday. How much correction is too much during play? He sometimes yawns, stressed when I give commands. He takes toys during tug, runs, and lays by himself. Come back for attention. Well, a couple things. One is if you just got him on Monday, just chill out, right? Take the dog for a couple nice walks a day, hand feed the dog, do a little luring and stuff like that. don't get into corrections right away. Malinois don't like to be corrected. I mean, a really good Malinois doesn't like to be corrected for something they don't know they're doing wrong. In fact, most really good confident dogs don't like that. So you're going to need to lure things, you're going to need to shape things, you're going to need to keep the dog on a long line. So if the dog is running away from you with a toy, you're not using a long line. But for now, for the first 10 days, just let the dog settle in, put the dog in a crate, give him a bone to chew on, do some hand shaping, some luring, some shaping, some downs and stands and sits and stuff like that. But just take it easy on the dog. You got to go easy on the dog, guys. You got to go easy. By the way, like I said, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, to the Robert Cabral Dogs here on YouTube, please do so. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers. Not quite there yet, but we're getting there. So you need to get in there and help me. Help me get this channel to 1 million. Tell your friends, and you know what? It's all such good information here. You're going to want your friends to know it. Luton, I think it is. My 4-month-old Cocker Spaniel is quite good when it comes to obedience, sit, stay, stand. When should I start introducing corrections when training to walk the leash? Should I wait till 6 months? Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, that's a whole different thing. But use a long line. Do long line training before you start leash walking this dog. Teach the dog that being away from you has consequences, being near you doesn't. The biggest mistake people make with leash training is they put a dog on a 4 or 6 foot leash and start popping this dog too much. Lure it. Use some treats and lure the dog being next to you, because that's going to be a positive experience. And when the dog's away from you, a couple of little taps on a leash, and when he comes back to you, it's a really simple. I mean, dog training is so simple. I often wonder why I'm making a living doing it. You have to understand that a dog wants what is good, and they don't want what is uncomfortable. That's really it. Kind of like your wife. That's why I'm such a successful husband. Because I know I make everything good and I avoid anything bad. That's marriage advice for me. It doesn't stop here, guys. It doesn't stop. There's so much information to be grasped here. Calvin Iwema, 18-month-old German Shepherd, paws at people. Okay, so this is your question now we got it together. 18-month-old German Shepherd paws at people, swipes excitedly at them with his paws to get attention. Okay, and his name is Zen. So what you need to do with Zen is teach Zen a down command and a place command, right? And when he gets up, you need to say, no, down. He needs to experience people in his presence without interacting with them. What's happening is the dog gets to interact, and he's taking control of the situation, and then wants more attention, and he's nuzzling and punching, like muzzle punching and swiping and pawing, to get the attention that he's not getting. If you keep letting him do it, it's just going to get worse, especially at this 18-month window. So you need to teach the dog down, and the minute he pops out of the down, no, down. Keep the interaction short. Bring him in front of people, down, let him be down. Talk to the people for 1 minute, 2 minutes. You need to do it as an exercise. You need to set this up, obviously. And then say to the dog, what a good boy, what a good down. Come on, let's go, and take the dog away. And let him see that at first you're going to do it for 30 seconds or a minute. Then you're going to do it for 2 minutes. Then you're going to do it for 5 minutes. But you need to build this time. But yeah, you must do that. Another one? Okay. This one actually has a little circle around it, so I can see it better. Nickel Boss. Hey, Robert, my 6-month-old Malinois is not so confident. He is afraid sometimes. He barks and pulls the leash when I tell him to attack, but he reaches his target. He is not so sure about biting. So you haven't done enough drive building work with the dog, right? So the way this works, first of all, is, how old is that dog? 6 months. So in this early phase from 2, 3, 4, 6 months, we do a lot of rag work with the dog, right? We always want to avoid it when the dog is teething, but we do rag work so the dog enjoys the bite and likes the bite. Then we build a frustration by using something like an agitation harness or agitation collar, and build that drive in more, so that when the dog gets there, he has to be confident. You're letting the dog go. You're forcing the dog in front of his confidence, as opposed to building the confidence and holding the dog back to build more confidence and more frustration. You need to work with somebody who really understands these dogs. It's not something you're going to fix on your own. And I'll tell you from extreme personal experience, find someone who loves dogs to do this with. Don't work with somebody who's just going to put pressure on the dog. So they'll pressure the dog into the bite. They'll do like a forced fetch, which I hate. I hate anything that's with the word forced. I just don't like forced. So, and I don't even like force free. So nothing with the word forced in it I like. But you need to build frustration in the dog. You need to make it a game. Biting for the dog, like for Goofy and Maya, it's a game. They love it. They crave it. So you're going to need to work with somebody to do it, though. Where am I here? I'm looking for questions marks. Okay, NorCal Living, 6-month-old German Shepherd and very mouthy, bitey, which is, by the way, totally, totally, totally normal for a 6-month-old German Shepherd. It's totally normal for this, which I control, but he's doing this with my daughter and son, and they have trouble controlling him. What do you suggest? I suggest that you take complete control of the dog, right? They're all three your children, in essence. So what you need to think about is you need to control your children and the dog equally, right down the line. Like your dog should know he cannot mess around with your kids. That's obviously very, very clear to the dog. You must make sure your kids don't tease and antagonize the dog, right? So maybe the dog needs to be in a crate a little bit more when the kids are out playing and stuff like that, so the dog can learn to settle down. But his mouthing is a totally normal thing. Don't be overly hard on the dog for being mouthy, because then he's going to flip it into being fearful and maybe being aggressive. So just tell the children, you know what, we're just going to pet the dog. Oh, good boy. And then that's it. But when they start playing with him, he starts playing. And just like your children play with their hands to touch him, he plays with his mouth to grab their hand. So that's the interaction. Kids interact with their hands, dogs interact with their mouths. So when those two meet, is exactly where you are right now. So it's not an uncommon problem, but a super easy fix. Good for you to ask the question, though. Great question. Another one from Janet for Ruby Hernandez. What do you think about socializing one's dog at the dog park? I have an open statement. I hate dog parks. Don't do it. The worst thing you can do. Okay, Alan just sent me a text message, which I saw, but let me look here. Let me tell you why I hate dog parks. Because you're going to always have some dogs in there that are not social. There's too many dogs. You can't control the environment. You can't control the interaction. You can't control the dogs. Socialize your dog with dogs that you know that are 100% safe. Just taking your dog to the dog park is like taking a young child to the mall, to a crowded mall, just letting him go and hoping there's no child molesters, no other people there. Don't do it. You can't get to your dog in time. If there's a fight, it'll ruin your dog for life. Okay, Alan said there's a super chat from Mo Al. It says, thank you, Robert. Your tips have helped me raise 2 males. I think you mean mals. Alan misspelled it. Mals and a Doberman. Well, that's a very, very kind super chat. Unnecessary, but very, very appreciated. Thank you very, very much for that. Guys, the biggest help you can do for me is helping more people subscribe to this channel. I appreciate the super chat. It's very, very kind of you. Thank you. So, thank you, Mo Al. Let's see. Another one without question marks. You guys got to do the question marks. I'm passing over them, and Janet's handing them to me. Yeah, Janet says good. It was from Viking Dogmanship. No, oh, this is from Amir. Okay. I heard that there are trainers who recommend correcting a dog for high reactivity with squirt bottle. What do you think? I can make the dog afraid from water. Yeah, for sure. You know, any of these dopes who tell you that, squirt bottles, bonkers, and all this stuff, it's nuts, right? It's really not good. It's because what you're doing is you're associating something the dog shouldn't feel negative about, right? So in other words, we don't want a dog to have a negative startle response. The startle response should be controlled, that I interrupt the behavior. When you start spraying the dog, and now the dog looks at you and you have a water bottle and you're spraying him, a soft dog, a fearful dog is just going to go, oh, it's going to run away. So now you take the dog to the groomer, you're watering your lawn, and the dog is going to be neurotic about it. I'm sorry. And these are people who just don't understand how to correct a dog properly and how to properly live with a dog. It's complete BS. Complete BS. Thank you. Janet says, I'm glad she answered. If Janet's glad, you know, happy wife, happy life. Miserable wife, lots of strife. That's my little tag onto that poem, because I am a little bit of a poet. Teresa says, I have 4 dogs. One of my females barks like crazy whenever someone she doesn't know comes over. The other 3 are cool. Any suggestions? I think we have almost the exact same situation here. Maya just goes crazy when people come over. Um, she's probably a little bit more neurotic. Like Maya's a little bit neurotic, but I don't think there's any, you know what you can do is when she barks, say, hey, good girl, come here, down, and just start to down her more, start to control her more, because if not, it's going to catch on to your other dogs. John, your question about local lessons I've answered before, and I said I don't really do them. I can refer you to somebody. If you go through my member section, I can. Ryan says, do you think there's going to be shortages in dog food and supplies? I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, I don't, huh? You do. Janet does. Janet's storing dog food. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't worry that much about it. I tend to just kind of like let things go. I worry about the stock market going down, my retirement fund being completely washed away. But I don't know. I mean, I feed my dog meat, human meats and vegetables, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you're worried about it, buy a couple, buy 50 pounds of dog food and keep it in the garage. Make sure you don't have rats, and you'll be set, because it's not going to spoil. Peter says, I'm from the UK and would really like to come and shadow you. Would you do this? I want to learn from you. I'm flattered, Peter. I think it's a very, very kind thing of you to ask. I just don't have the facility to do it. Like if I had, a boarding facility and I had dogs I was training regularly, I would do it. But you would be watching me monitoring my website, making Janet's coffee in the mornings. You'd be monitoring the things that would really, not benefit you. I used to do it when I had the shelter program, because then you'd have 3 intense days really monitoring with it. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for asking me, but I think the website, my membership section is going to be the closest thing for that. Let's see. Marius from South Africa. Nice. Good to see you. By the way, there's an amazing podcast coming up, I think next week, with Jay, my friend Jay from Africa, who does anti-poaching dogs. Spectacular. I hope you guys like all these podcasts, because I'm loving doing them. I'm just love the one with John Cook that I just did, the LA Sheriff. We just had the greatest time. Steve Stoops, it will be back out. We got another guy coming in, Shannon, who has started all the special op dogs. A lot of stuff coming up. The podcast is going to continue to go. Return Sarah. 1-year-old neutered Mal is overly obsessed with balls. If my other Mal sets his ball down, the 1-year-old goes after that with other ball in mouth and then guards. Yeah, it's totally normal. When he or me goes for it, he gets guarded. Well, you need to control the dog, right? But this is a totally normal behavior. A Goofy does the exact same thing. Goofy, in fact, when we open our house door to the garage, Goofy runs out and grabs either a ball or something. That's just a Mal behavior. Now, Goofy does not get aggressive if I go for it. He'll growl at another dog, like if Dwayne goes to go for it, he'll go, but that's initiation of play. He's not going to bite him. But the only reason he doesn't is because I've made clear in his mind that you are not allowed to do that. Like I can take anything away from him. So you need to work individually with him, take the other dog out of the picture, and work a two-ball trade, make sure he's on the line, and if he goes to bite you, you're going to need to correct him. You need to fix that. That's going to be a disaster for you. Simmy 9. 10-month-old Mal rescue. He's already pretty well trained, but barks at people too much. Where should I bring him to start socializing? Beach, trail, regular park? Yeah, take him to a regular park. I think that would be a really good idea. Keep him at a distance. Start feeding him in the park. Let him see there's more exciting things in the park besides the other people. Engage him to you. Hand feed. Do some shaping, some luring, some down, some sits, some stands, some heeling, some tug work or something. When he looks at the other dogs in the park, go, hey, come here. And then he comes back to you, obedience, and then a reward. Okay, I'm going to answer this because it's you'll see why I'm going to answer this when I answer it. Marcel says, I keep reading about learned helplessness. How do you know if your Mally is doing the command because he or she is obedient because they've learned helplessness? First of all, forget the scientific terms, right? If you want to write papers or document things or write journals that people want to read that they don't really care about, then learn all about these terminologies. Your dog, if he's properly trained and if you have done a nice job in building a relationship with your dog, he's going to do the obedient thing because it brings him reward, not because of learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is a terminology that positive-only trainers are going to tell you that you put corrections on the dog, now he does any other way. Oh, it's escape avoidance because he's trying to get away from this. These are all little key trigger words that people are coming up with and using because they don't want to talk about real dog training. Again, anybody who knows me, anybody who's been following me for more than a minute knows that I believe, and we got into this discussion yesterday, Janet and I, with Alan, because we were using the term reward-based training. And Janet said, well, some people might not understand that you're a balance trainer if you use the word reward-based training. But if you notice that in my balance training, it's all about getting to the reward. I just help the dog get to the reward by use of a correction. I believe in rewards 1,000%. I don't believe these trainers who don't want to do rewards, who say, oh, we don't need, blah, blah, blah. Rewards are at the fulcrum of what I'm doing. Everything is about rewards. Forget these terminologies. It's going to make you batty. Sabine says, is it easier for a dog to be left alone if it has another dog for company? And do they welcome it in general if they love other dogs? I don't think it makes a difference. I think if a dog is used to, Janet had Bosman for years alone, and he got used to it, and he ran the whole house. And then he got Jimmy, and he loved Jimmy more than anything. And they learned. And Goofy was alone for several years before I got Maya. So, I think it's one or the other. I think dogs kind of accept things more. It's not like people where they need company. Well, there's some people who are loners. But you see, the thing is with people who are loners, if they then get somebody around them, then that bugs them. And if they are people who need people and they don't have anybody, then that bugs them. So I think dogs are a lot easier than you're thinking. Let's see, I'm trying to go through. Oscar Silva. What's the best way to get my 11-month-old pit bull to stop mouthing family members? Put him in a crate, give him something to chew on, give him something that he should be chewing on, not hands and stuff like that. Don't let too many people interact with him. Let him just see people around without people interacting with him, and he'll start to settle into his own space. What people tend to do with younger dogs, and this is any breed, is they tend to overstimulate the dog, and that gets the dog to be very mouthy because the dog doesn't know what else to do. They go, oh, he's cute, and they play with him, and they rub their ears, and they do all this stuff. And then the dog gets stimulated, and then the dog doesn't turn it off, and then you're upset because the dog is stimulated, but you stimulated the dog. So, yeah. Okay, here's a good one. Goddess. My Mal is easily overstimulated by the dogs at training. Is it wise to continue and work at a greater distance or wait till he's older, 14 months old? No, don't wait. Do not wait. Get him there, correct him, engage him, and reward him, right? So you got to make sure that if the dog starts getting stimulated by the other dog, go, hey, pay attention here. Feed, reward, do something. The dog must pay attention. You're 14 months old, man, work through it now because you're not going to get it. It's not going to get any better. Here comes one from Janet. Bella Stella. Let me get this off the screen so you don't think that's Bella Stella. I rescued 3 puppies, 10 months now, when we were all in lockdown. I'm not sure how to deal with their separation anxiety since life is going back to normal. Can't even leave their sight for 1 minute. This whole, if I say the word, the video is going to get banned, so I'm not going to say it, right? It's a crazy environment. You had to know at the start of this that at some point it's going to end, right? You didn't think the world was going to come to an end, and we were going to end being locked down. You made a huge mistake. 3 puppies, 10 months old, 10 months now. It's crazy making. I hate to tell you this. I'm sure you have a good heart and you try to do the right thing. And people are still doing it. People are still doing it. The shelters were empty because everybody's like, oh, well, we're going to be home, so let's get a dog. Thinking like, well, what am I going to do with the dog when I go back to work? Or the 2 dogs, or in your case, the 3 dogs. I'll give you the best advice I can give you is I would try to find homes for 1 or 2 of the dogs. Really nice homes. A friend who you love, somebody you know is going to love this dog like you love him. You've probably done a great job raising him. You've probably done a good job, maybe working with him, teaching him, housebreaking him, and all that stuff. 3 dogs is, all the same age is a lot of work. But the other thing you're going to have to do is now it's going to be through might, force and might, you're going to have to get outside. You're going to have to put these dogs in a crate and walk out that door and be gone for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. You have to do it. If not, you're going to be home for the next 12 years with these dogs, and you will never leave. You'll be doing everything by DoorDash and Postmates and Amazon. You will never leave your house. You will never work again. You'll never have another friend again. But you must force yourself, and you must force your dog to accept this. I'm sorry. Kongs. Give him some Kongs when you go out, or some marrow bones or something. Nino Narechella Shively. That's a name. Nino, you said, thanks for the live. My 5-month-old mixed Malinois Rottweiler, 61 pounds, gets tired easy. I try exercising him, but gets tired. He had more Rottweiler body, heavy, not like Mally. Please give advice. Well, he's only 5 months old, right? Rottweilers are very, very slow to mature. Very, very slow to mature. And they're kind of, in the beginning, for the most part, Rottweilers are kind of sedentary beings. They're kind of like hippopotamuses. They set in their way. Now, they'll spring to action and do something, but then they kind of go back to the sedentary ways. They are not in any way shepherds. Now, somebody mixing a shepherd and a Malinois, that's like mixing, a Prius and a diesel truck. I don't know who would think to do that. It's a crazy mix. I think you should let the dog kind of dictate what they can and can't do, especially at this 5-month-old age. Don't push the dog too hard and too fast, because it's not good for the conformation of the structure of the dog overall, and it's not going to be good for the behavior of the dog overall. So, yeah, take it easy. Dominic, you're from Germany. I'm going to give you one here. Dominic Rowe, hello from Germany. How do I train my dog who is reactive to other reactive dogs without stressing the other dog person too much? She has no problems with other calm dogs. Well, your dog has reactivity to reactive dogs. So the reason the dog is doing this is because he's going to go into a defensive mode. He's afraid something's going wrong with him or with you. So I don't really know how you're going to de-stress. If he's not stressed out or not reactive to non-reactive dogs or to calm dogs, then he's doing really good. Then that's a good dog. But if the other dog is reactive, the dog will eventually learn, I don't know how old, it doesn't say how old he is, that nothing's going to happen. You need to just continue to protect the dog. But it's very hard to get a dog to be non-reactive when a dog is in front of him being reactive, right? Unless you just really, like with Goofy, I can do it pretty easily. Jimmy will do it. But it's a special characteristic in the dog, a special something in the dog that does that. Okay, guys, I only can do 1 or 2 more because it's almost 10 o'clock and I've got to get into my members live, which if you're a member, you get another hour of me. And if you're Janet, you get 23 more, not 24. She rolled her eyes on that one. Huh? No, not enough. That's sweet. She's very, very sweet. Okay, Humane Society of Lake County, Florida. Adam, I'm working with 15 to 20 dogs on a daily basis, 4 days a week, 8 hours. What would you suggest I do to be most effective and successful? Thank you. Well, Adam, first of all, thank you, because that's awesome, 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 awesome work. And you're always in my chats, and I think when I do the Bound Angels program, you're going to have to get onto that because it's really going to help you. But to be most effective, train your dogs, have a stopwatch, literally train them for 12 to 15 minutes at a time. Put them, let them, take them out, potty, 15 minutes, maximum training, 12 to 15 minutes, maximum, repetition, 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 repetition. Then 5 minutes of play afterwards, potty, and back in the crate. Take 5 minutes, get some water, and go to the next dog. I would be like a machine on these dogs doing that. That would be your best thing. Guys, 231 people are here. I hope every one of you guys is a member of this channel, is a subscriber to the channel, right? So that's free. Subscribing to the channel is free. Hitting that notification bell is completely free. There's no obligation, no nothing. You can leave at any time. But as a member, you get some amazing benefits. You, as a subscriber, you get to get notified. You get new videos all the time. Oh, my camera just went dead. Can you see why the camera went dead? Just turn it off and back on, maybe. But I'm still here, guys. So is the screen dark? Turn it off and back on. I wonder if the battery went dead, because maybe it's not charging. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here based on this. Is it going on? The on-off switch is on top. It's a slider. It's the slider switch. The slider switch. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for being here. It's coming back on now. For some reason it went off. Battery exhausted. We're going to put a new battery in. I'm going to be in the live in 1 minute. I'll see you there. I can't figure out how to turn this off now.